A good night of Shabbos, everyone. See Yaakov Avinu running away from Esav. He comes to the place of his uncle and his cousins. And when he gets into town, he turns to them and he says, Vayomer lehem Yaakov, Achai me'ayin atem. My brothers, where are you from? Vayomru mecharan anachnu. They said, we're from Charan. And he said to them, Ayadatem es Lavan ben Nachor. Do you recognize Lavan, the son of Nachor? And they said, sure, we know who he is. And then they tell him, and by the way, V'hinei Rachel bito ba imatzon. That's Rachel who's coming with the sheep. It's the first case of Jewish geography in the Torah. It's the source for Jewish geography, that you come into town, you drop your names. Do you know this one? Do you know this one? And look at where it got him. What's a little odd, though, is that the language that Yaakov Avinu used, because the truth is, in the Torah they didn't talk like that. We talk today, the sprach is, yo, brother. But that's not the way they talked. Yaakov Avinu looks at these shepherds and he says to them, Achai, says to them, my brothers. What's he calling them? It sounds sanctimonious. It sounds, it sounds very like he's playing them a little bit. Why say the words Achai, my brothers? And then we know that he goes on to give them a pretty stark rebuke that the day's not over. What are they wasting their time for? They should feed their sheep and get back to work. What are you sitting around harassing these girls and doing these ridiculous things? You should get to work. So it's a weird introduction to the teichacha, to the rebuke, and the criticism that he's going to give them. The Talmud says about criticism, ad hechan teichacha, that how far does the mitzvah of teichacha go? So we say Rav says arakah. Rav says until you hit him, until he hits you, until he gets so upset with you that you're giving him teichacha that he's going to hit you. Shmuel Omer ad kulala. Shmuel says until he curses you. Rabbi Yochanan Omer ad nezifa, until he gets really angry. So Yaakov Kamenetsky asks that why are you pater just because the guy gets mad? You have a mitzvah to be mechiach. You have a mitzvah to point out a person's mistakes, to point out a person who's doing something wrong, to help them do tshuva. But just because the person is uncomfortable, so then your mitzvah ends. Where do we ever find something like that? That when something becomes uncomfortable, your obligation is over. So the Rambam, when he talks about teichacha, he says that when a person sins, I have an obligation to be mochiach. I have an obligation to rebuke a person and to criticize them in order to be able to machziro lemutov, in order to be able to bring him back to the good side. But what's the key ingredient of teichacha? Certainly it has to be said soft, and certainly it has to be said intelligently, and it has to be said in a way that lo sisa lov chet, that you're not hurting him even more, and you're not dragging him down and ruining his day and his life. But I think that the key, the most important ingredient of teichacha, is that he understands that you're doing this for his own good, and that you're pointing out a criticism, you're pointing out a mistake that he's making, because you know that he wants that he wants to improve, and you know that he wants to improve, and therefore all you're doing is helping him do that. And our obligation is to do that again and again until he indicates that he's not listening, until he indicates that it's not going in, when he gets angry, or when he gets when he curses, or when he hits you. That's clearly that he's not listening to your teichacha. I think what the Rambam is telling us is something amazing. That the Rambam is telling us is that as soon as there is aggression, anger, hitting, as soon as there is aggression, at that moment he's saying, I don't believe that you have my best interests in mind. And I don't think that you care about me. I think you care more about being punctilious, being precise. You care more about being OCD, dotting I's, crossing T's. You care more about making sure the people around you are doing the right thing, but not because you care about the people around you. And the moment that he has that feeling, the moment that he feels that it's not coming from a place of love, so then it is not the mitzvah of tochacha. And that's why you're pater. You're not pater because you're off the hook. You're pater because you're not doing the mitzvah. That's not the mitzvah of tochacha. The mitzvah of teichacha is not letting off steam. The mitzvah of teichacha is not, you've got to do this right. For the good of everybody, you've got to do this right. That's not the mitzvah of teichacha. The mitzvah of teichacha is that I care about you. I love you. I worry about you. And I worry about your spiritual life. And I worry about your spiritual accomplishments. And therefore, I'm going to say something to you because I care about you. And that has to be conveyed. That's why Yaakov Avinu turns to the shepherds and he says to them, Achai, because he knew that he was about to give them teichacha, and he needed to first establish this feeling of love and brotherhood. It is the greatest obligation that lies on the shoulders of those that are mochiach, those that are giving rebuke, to convey the sense of I care about you and I worry about you. We often think that the mitzvah of teichacha is a bein adam lemakom, that is between you and God, that you have to right the wrongs in the world. It is not. It's a bein adam lechavero. It's helping out and showing love to another person. And maybe that's the reason that so often teichacha is not successful. Because very often teichacha is coming from a place of righting wrongs, not of fixing your life, not of caring about you. This is true with our friends. It's true with those in our shuls, in our schools. But it is so true in our homes with our children. That when you criticize a child, it has to be clear that you're not mad, that you're not angry, and that you care so much about them. Because anything short of that is simply not the mitzvah of teichacha. And I think that Yaakov Avinu, in one word, teaches us an incredible principle. You want to be out there in the world? You want to make a place for yourself in that world? You want to make a change in people's lives? Love them. On Rav Trenk, Zecher Tzaddik V'Kodesh Livracha, famous Rosh Yeshiva, who dealt with kids that were at risk. Really the first one to do such things. He started a yeshiva in Adelphia, and it was for guys that weren't making it in other places. When he died, they wrote a book about him. And the front cover of the book is a picture of a huge smile. Of him, full smile. And the title of the book is Just Love Them. I didn't read the book. I was incredibly inspired just by the title. That's ultimately what we have to feel towards people that we're trying to help. I'm not trying to help you because those are the rules. I'm trying to help you because I love you. And when you can convey that love, then you can help a person make incredible changes in their lives. You should have a beautiful, amazing, awesome Shabbos.